Health. Now, we're going to start today's programme with something we discussed on last week's programme after the Health Service Executive, with the support of the Minister for Health, Simon Harris, began a major campaign to encourage teenage girls to get the vaccine against the cancer-causing human papilloma virus. We had a doctor from the HSE with us here on the programme. We heard all of the reasons why this is a life-saving drug. But get this. The junior minister in the Department of Health, Finian McGrath, has lobbied for the withdrawal of the vaccine, and he also wants a group called Regret, a campaigning group against the vaccine use, to be acknowledged and helped by the government. Dr Ruairi Hanley, who's with us every Wednesday for medical discussions, columnist for the Irish Medical Times, what do you make of that?
I actually can't believe it, Matt. I mean, yesterday I saw it on the front page of the Sunday Times and I thought it was April 1st. I thought this has to be a wind-up. This man has behaved in a manner that I found utterly unbelievable, outrageous. He has publicly stated, apparently a year ago, that this vaccine should be withdrawn. I mean, and then he actually said he's not anti-vaccine. I mean, Matt, how can you not be anti-vaccine when you're calling for a vaccine to be withdrawn? This vaccine is saving lives. And now we have a situation where the uptake rate has fallen to 50%. 40 young women in this country are going to die as a result of that, according to the Irish Cancer Society. And the reason for that is a scaremongering campaign based on misinformation that has been peddled on the internet. And now we've discovered that a junior minister for health has actually supported this. Now, he seems to be backtracking his position, but he has actually openly opposed this vaccine or called for its withdrawal. The man has to be sacked.
Sacked? Hang on a second. His comments in the Sunday Times were yesterday. I did ask that question at the time. This is in relation to representations he made when he was a backbench TD. He said, because I had major concerns about the HPV vaccine. My current position, and this is the statement he gave to the Sunday Times for yesterday's paper, my current position, of course, is that these concerns had to be examined and looked at carefully. I won't be rowing back from that position because some of the events internationally, I think somewhere in the region of 30% of reported events are categorised as very serious.
He still hasn't backed down. He's still trying to make out that there's concerns about the vaccine. He's undermining it, Matt. He's creating doubt. Now, he says he's going along with government policy, presumably because if he doesn't, he'll have to resign. But he's saying this, right? But it's clear from the tone of those comments and the little innuendos in there that he does not fully endorse this vaccine. It seems obvious. He says he backs government policy, and yet he says he's going to keep asking questions. That's what he also said. Now, Matt, if you question this, you undermine it. Okay, there are no questions. The questions have been fundamentally answered.
Oh, hold on, aren't questions appropriate? We have a situation where, according to this Regret group, there are approximately 400 Irish girls who've developed chronic fatigue.
No, I'm sorry. Look, I know that this has to stop. This really has to end, this, Matt. It's very simple. This vaccine has been given to 200 million people worldwide. It has been completely and comprehensively studied, more than any other vaccine in human history. It does not cause chronic fatigue, okay? It just doesn't. What you have is a very sad situation where people develop chronic fatigue and they're inappropriately blaming it on the vaccine. They're putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5. It's tragic, and I feel very sorry for those suffering from chronic fatigue, but that sympathy does not extend to undermining a vaccination campaign that is not only safe, but is going to save the lives of dozens, if not hundreds, of Irish women in the year ahead. And that's what's happening here. Now, politicians who are ignoring science, who are indulging this, are, in my view, putting lives in danger. Already we know 40 are going to die, and for any politician to do that is, to my mind, unbelievably reprehensible. But we have a situation where this man is the junior minister for health. I mean, we're a banana republic territory. He's a junior minister for health. He sits around the cabinet table and he has called publicly for this vaccine to be withdrawn. I mean, this is lunatic fringe stuff.
But Dr Ruairi Hanley, there are people who believe that vaccines are dangerous, that vaccines actually introduce disease and illness to people. These are people also who believe that the MMR vaccine introduces autism into otherwise healthy children.
Utterly disproven, and what it led to was a measles outbreak, and there are measles outbreaks going on across the world now that are killing kids. I mean, this nonsense has to stop. This is like a war on science. I mean, the evidence, the very fact that I have to come on air and debate this is depressing. This is why we really have to stop this, and it's so disappointing that politicians are indulging this. Now, look, in fairness to McGrath, he seems to be trying to backtrack his position, but at the same time, he seems to be saying, he'll keep asking questions. Well, the more you ask questions, Mr. McGrath, the more, you undermine something that is saving lives, and you potentially put lives in danger. And for that reason, this man should resign or he should be sacked.
Okay, well, actually, last week there were calls for Tony O'Brien, the Director General of the HSE, to be sacked. These came from radio broadcasters, and they came from the independent TD Matty McGrath, because he had said that the campaign waged by this Regret group and other anti-vaccination groups, he described them as emotional terrorism and said that they had used disinformation, and people want him fired for saying that.
No, he said that the type of anti-vaccine campaigning that's going on out there was a form of emotional terrorism. Those are very strong words, Matt, but I have to be honest, I think he's correct, okay? And you will very rarely, Matt, hear me defend the HSE publicly on air. And I have to say that I think he hit the nail on the head. I think he's not calling people terrorists. That's a ridiculous accusation. He is saying that this campaign, this relentless global anti-vaccine campaign that we're seeing, not just on HPV, but on lots of vaccines, is a form of emotional terrorism. It is pressurising people into making a decision that damages health and damages children's lives in the long run, can potentially put them at risk of dying from cancer. His language was strong, but quite frankly, Matt, this is typical of the way we go on Ireland. 40 people are going to die. 40 women are going to die in this country, and we're worried about how he phrased it. That sums up everything that is wrong with this country.
Well, I'm going to give you a final one, though, Dr Ruairi Hanley. Could it be that there is a conspiracy at play between the big business, the profiteers of the pharmaceutical business, and the European Medicines Agency, and the European Commission, and the World Health Organisation, and the Irish government?
And presumably you and me as well. Yeah, we're all in on it, Matt. It's all a big, massive conspiracy. No, I'm afraid that is such a nonsensical attitude. But yep, that is what we're hearing on the internet. That's what if people want to buy into that, how can you reason with them, Matt? How can you argue with something as idiotic as this global conspiracy suggestion that you've just outlined?
But what about the girls, the teenage girls who got ill after they got the vaccine?
Those teenage girls, as I've just pointed out a moment ago, they got ill, and I have the utmost sympathy for anybody who's ill, but they did not get ill because of the vaccine. That has been proven. This vaccine does not cause these illnesses that we're talking about. Like I said, 200 million doses. There is no link between this vaccine and the type of illnesses that's been claimed to cause. There are some minor side effects that can occur, nothing serious in the overwhelming majority of cases, but to suggest that 400 girls developed serious side effects, I'm afraid it just doesn't stack up with what we know, with the evidence, and with 200 million doses given worldwide. I mean, this has to stop. People are going to die because of this anti-vaccine stuff, and it really has to end, Matt.
Dr Ruairi Hanley, thank you as ever for joining us on The Last Word on Today FM. We will talk to you again in our regular spot on Wednesday.